Welcome to Igniting Change, Finding Your Fire, a weekly podcast with Meena Puri, an Ayurvedic practitioner and spiritual teacher who brings the ancient, time-tested wisdom of Ayurveda in this time of great upheaval and global ascension to inspire you to the next level of your spiritual evolution. She will discuss all topics related to your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you ready to be free of all suffering and soar to your heart's calling? Hello, everyone. I'm Meena Puri, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am very happy to have my friend and my colleague. Her name is Dr. Kate Steiner. She's highly accomplished, and I'm going to have you have her tell more about what she does in a minute. But she is a burnout recovery coach, among many other things. And she just recently launched her book. It's called Feeling Crispy. It's a Burnout Recovery Guide. So welcome, Dr. Kate Steiner.
Hello.
Hi, Kate. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here, Meena.
Absolutely. So, yes, I just read briefly what you just sent me. I'm so impressed. So, tell us all the wonderful things that you do.
Yeah, so I am a burnout recovery coach and consultant. So I work with successful professionals who are finding themselves overwhelmed by the unavoidable burnout that comes a part of kind of just being in our society and our culture. Looking at a lot of hustle culture type pieces. And I work with people in individual spaces and in group spaces to support them in building happier, healthier lives so they can live a full life, but not a busy one.
That's wonderful. You know, the work that you do and what you call it, the burnout recovery, it just speaks directly to our collective experience.
Yes.
That we've been feeling for a long time. And I think we might be kind of turning a corner in a smaller percentage, perhaps. So, and it's again, just like when you have this, it reminds me of an example of a sugar high.
Mm,
There's a sugar high, right? The
yeah.
adrenaline rush, and then there's a crash.
Yes.
And both stages can be not very healthy. So it's not just that, you're overwhelmed and now you're just going to stop, because there's something that's happened within your nervous system that you have to
Mhm.
now understand how to regulate the nervous system
Yeah.
to come down from that high, because otherwise, one extreme to the next, it can really send you into spirals of depression and confusion and even more overwhelmed. So your work
Mhm.
speaks directly to, to that need that many, uh, what do I call, overworked, the superwoman,
Yes.
uh, the superwoman syndrome that we have all had at one point or the other. So it speaks directly to that. So your work is so much appreciated. So tell me, do you work with clients individually? Do you work in a group setting? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I actually do both. So I work with clients on an individual setting, one-on-one coaching where they meet with me a couple times a month and then have, some homework and things that they're doing in between, but they also have access to office hours. So some clients they pop in and I connect with them weekly in that aspect, but I also offer group coaching and we'll be launching the next cohort here in a couple of weeks. Well, next week is when the cart will open for that. And that program is called Reclaim Institute. And that is kind of a hybrid. It's a digital course. So course content that is really intended to be there for folks to kind of take in small doses. None of the trainings are
Mhm.
longer than 15 minutes. And that's really intentional because when you are feeling burnt out, you're already overwhelmed. And the last thing I
Yeah.
want to do is have the healing process also feel overwhelming.
Feels burn.
Yeah. So we work in very small, like micro steps in those pieces. So they have
Mhm.
the digital content, but they also have live trainings and group coaching with me once a week. And that's a 6-week program.
Yeah, that really is smart to offer them incremental, like 15
Yes.
minute, because that's what happens with some of the, healing work. It feels like another undertaking. So
Mm-hmm.
we really have to have a different mindset
Yeah.
when it comes to that. It's, the healing work is about undoing the doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes can be harder than the doing because we're not accustomed to it. We don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's wonderful. So what are some of the what is the common thread,
Mm-hmm.
if there is one, that you find amongst people that you work with, the one common thread that we all struggle with?
It's funny. I think the biggest one is that most of us don't recognize that we are in burnout until we've been in burnout for a really
For a long
long
time.
time.
Yeah.
And so we're not calling it that. We're necessarily, oh, I'm stressed, but pretty much everyone that I've worked with, including myself in that aspect, in my own burnout experience, go through a process of, we spend a lot of time saying things like, oh, when I get to this point in my life, things will get better. When this work project is over, things will get better. If I can just get to the weekend, I'll
Yeah.
have time to rest. If I can just get to that vacation, I'll have time to rest and recoup. And we continue to say that for, weeks, months, years, until finally our body is like, hey, we're done with this, and this cycle has been too much. So either physically or mentally, we start to really feel those effects from burnout. And that is the space that most people, come for help in that aspect. But I think for all of us, we're
Mhm.
in it for so long before we actually recognize what's going on.
Yeah, I think we've all done that.
Mhm.
I've been called like burning the candle at both ends.
Yes.
And, and the funny thing is when you're in the middle of it, you're not realizing it because you're on such
Yeah.
an adrenaline high and because you
Mhm.
can't do it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can't do it.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can't
You
do
push
it
through.
until
Yeah.
you
Your
can.
adrenaline takes you through.
Until you can't, right?
Yes.
So the term many times, people use like like your nervous system is wired or
Mhm.
just fried.
Mhm.
Okay, you
Yes.
can tell. I can tell in my conversations with them,
Yeah.
and it's like we need to work from this angle. So
Mhm.
yeah, that is wonderful. And so, what are some of the methods and tools or techniques, if you will, that you most commonly use
Yeah.
with clients?
Yeah, so some of the things that I first start with in working with folks is kind of, we do kind of an assessment in regard to what does their day-to-day look like. So
Hmm.
when are they resting? When are they allowing for recovery in their life? And often it very much is well, I take like half a day on over the weekend, and I relax a little, but I feel really guilty about it. So we start to work on things like, what are small ways that they can incorporate rest and recovery into their everyday life.
Hmm.
So, really working through what are their current routines, whether that be a morning routine or throughout the day or an evening routine to wind down before they go to bed at night, and really figuring out what are some small steps and things that we can do within those routines that aren't, again, overwhelming in that aspect, but help them create the habit of
Hmm.
rest and recovery every day, because we don't want people waiting until the weekend. We don't want people waiting
No,
until their vacation or a holiday, because at that point they're already so tired and so fatigued and so overwhelmed that a few days or even a week isn't necessarily going to give them the rest and recovery that they need. So working with them to build it consistently into their lives on a day-to-day piece is a really important part. Some of the things that we'll include as part of recovery daily are things like play. How can they be more
yeah,
playful in their life and just bring about that joy and wonderment, right? So getting into like that childlike state where
yeah.
your
Hmm.
everything is, it's about curiosity and
Curiosity,
being
fascination.
playful
Yeah.
and bringing that joy and smiling and laughing. So incorporating some of those things. And then gratitude is a big piece of that as
Hmm.
well. But along with gratitude, they have to release things that they're feeling resentful for. So often, before we can move into that space of gratitude, we have to allow ourselves space to release what is bringing us worries or what we feel resentful about. So I will have clients do a resentment list where they write down all of those worries and things that are,
They have
bringing
to
about
work
those
through.
cycling negative thoughts. And so they
Mhm.
can purge it out from themselves, as opposed to kind of just holding on to it and the thoughts continuing.
Yeah, so it's not a make believe. It's not just
Right. Mhm.
pretending and smiling.
Yeah,
It does require doing the inner work, but you're making it in a bite-sized pieces, so it doesn't feel
absolutely.
so overwhelming. And I think it is so important to make this part of our daily life. Like we've all
Mhm.
been, the weekend marathon runners, or
Mhm.
we have this weekday mentality.
Yeah.
And that's actually what keeps us in the yo-yo. That's what keeps us in the extremes.
Mhm.
Because like sugar high crash, sugar high crash, sugar high
Yep.
crash. And so we really do want to bring a level of mindfulness or awareness in a day-to-day living where we're able to clue into the level of our
Mhm.
physical energy or mental activity,
Yeah.
and just ask ourselves what is needed. The truth is, there are no emergencies.
Mhm.
It's the ones that we create,
Mhm.
right? So the good thing is we can uncreate them. It's
That's true.
noticing that tendency of the mind, the ego thing.
Yes.
So important. I've got
Yes.
to do it this way, and I'm going to go, go, go. And I'm like, people, there's no trophy at the end of the race.
Mhm.
And, there isn't one. And so it just, we're just shifting away from a different culture.
Mhm.
And the good thing is, at least we're having these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
10 years ago, we weren't so willing
No, we
to
were
have
not.
these conversations because we were in the merry-go-round, caught up, and we're
Mhm.
like, everything is fine. And no, I'm enjoying my life and blah, blah, blah. And so we're kind of coming off of that merry-go-round and realizing that what we thought we was important, maybe it isn't.
Mhm.
And whatever we were doing because we thought was important, it wasn't. There was a cost to it.
Mhm.
And am I willing to pay that cost?
Yeah.
Am I willing to do that? And it's just, it's such an important time. We're really understanding the productivity that we
Mhm.
so speak of in the corporate world, right? What's a
Mhm.
corporation without productivity? The productivity, the everything that we have created, and it's all wonderful and useful. But what the world needs most is
Yeah.
peace,
Yes.
is harmony,
Yes.
is love, is
Mhm.
compassion, is joy, it's smiles and
Yeah.
laughter. Is little moments built into our daily living that can
Mhm.
uplift us, right? And who would have thought that this kind of stuff, that we shrugged our shoulders and said, oh, whatever, this voodoo stuff, that it would become so important and
Yeah.
so life altering
Yeah.
that, without it, we're kind of, the humanity is drowning
Mhm.
without that. So that's why, I'm bringing in all the different, the experts, the coaches who are really, talking about, like we just had a conversation about
Mhm.
how to bring creativity and bringing out your inner diva, and we had a conversation about bringing confidence.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, these are small aspects, and they're all interconnected. But when you
Mhm.
name it, like your burnout coach, so it speaks to those people who are feeling that, having that
Yeah.
experience of burnout. So it is wonderful. And I know that you recently released your book, Feeling
Mhm.
Crispy. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell us about that. I love the
Yeah.
title, by the way, Feeling
Yeah.
Crispy.
Yes. So feeling, it's just kind of to let the audience members know. So feeling crispy is my verbiage for burnout. It's really kind of the experience that I feel when I get into a state of burnout, and it comes with a visual from the movie Christmas Vacation, and the
Uh,
dinner scene with the overcooked turkey, and when Clark Griswold cuts into the turkey and it just kind of explodes in steam. It's just poof, and all that's left is like the crispy skin of
uh-huh.
this poor bird. And that for me is that burnout, right? So when we're
Yeah.
working so hard to, like, keep ourselves together on the outside and to
Mhm.
present that perfection, that perfectly roasted
Turkey.
perfection, yeah, that perfectly roasted turkey to everyone. But if someone were to cut just under our skin, we explode in kind of that steamy mess, and
Yeah.
burnout can come out. We can present it as irritability to other people, or anger or sadness are some of the ways that it can come out. And so that's where Feeling Crispy has come from. But the book is a guide to Feeling Crispy, a guide to burnout recovery. And it is on ebook right now through Amazon. And it
Mhm.
is intended to be a really quick read, for the same reason that my course has like short bites of information. I don't
Yeah.
want people to feel overwhelmed when they're going into
That's what
this
you're
journey.
talking to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're in a place where you're already feeling overwhelmed, to read a really lengthy book
Yeah.
to find some relief is not going to be supportive and helpful in my mind in that regard. So it's a 60-minute to 90-minute read, and it really
Wonderful.
goes through the entire model that I
Mhm.
use with clients that I developed through my dissertation research. So it's founded in research. It's a proven method for just bringing back some joy to your life, but really encountering the unavoidable burnout and finding a way and a process to build into your life that recovery becomes a consistent habit. So you're
Mhm.
not impacted by burnout so much.
Exactly. I love
Mhm.
that because, we have learned how to overdo.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have we been taught? Be brave, be strong. You can do it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Can.
Do.
You can until you
Yeah.
can't. Um,
Mhm.
so we have to learn. I know, isn't this ridiculous, the kind of
Yeah.
conversation we're having? It's like, oh my God, what a mess we've gotten ourselves
I
into.
know. And to
Because
learn to slow down is so hard.
it's
So
so hard is because we didn't learn, it's like, come on, work hard, you're brave, you're
Mhm.
strong, you can do it. Suck it up, buttercup. You know, um, so that's all fine and dandy
Yeah.
until it isn't, until it's a gooey
Yes.
mess inside a crispy skin. So
Yes.
so we have to learn how to clue into how it is that we are feeling and actually listen to that inner voice
Yeah.
and trust it.
Yes.
And trust, it's like when you're kind of dragging that little pain in the low back, isn't just a pain in the low back, it's trying to talk
Mhm.
to you. When you're kind of like snapping at people really quickly,
Yeah.
it's not just because you're having a bad day. There's a whole closet full of snapping going
Yes.
on behind that. So you need to clue in. It's like sometimes people don't know that I'm angry or I'm stressed. And I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
listen to these clues. These are
Yeah.
your clues, right? So
Yes.
listen to the clues so these clues are there. They're speaking to us so we can
Mhm.
understand our own language of our clues, and we can respond to them. It is funny, the kind of work that we're doing, but it's
Yeah.
so needed. It is so
It's
needed.
so true. Yes.
And I know that you do a little recovery moment. You do your little dance videos.
I
They're
do. Yes. Yeah. So I do let little recovery moments. So offer, whether it be an affirmation, or if you want to come dance with me on Instagram, I'm at Dr. Kate Steiner there. And I have a recovery moment at the end of all of my podcasts. And that's the From Burnout to Recovery show with Dr. Kate.
I love that. We need more doctors who are dancing, all right?
Yes.
We just do.
I love it. So I enjoy it, and I figure, well,
No, me too.
at
Like
the very
dance
least,
is,
people can
yeah.
smile at me. Hopefully they join in, but I believe in the power of dance.
Now you know what? I love to dance, and actually, just the conversation I had before, and I said, just to get out of your head, dance in a
Mhm.
way you've never danced before.
Yes. Yes.
Dance in a way that you dare not dance in front of somebody, because they laugh, so you can laugh at yourself. So
Mhm.
dance only on one side or silly, so you can
Yeah.
get out of that habitual patterns.
Yeah.
Movement is so movement and play
Yeah.
is so important for us to
So
kind of
important.
break the cycle that
Yeah.
we are in for a long time, is to break the cycle, the
Mhm.
monotony, so we don't take ourselves so seriously.
Yes.
Like, you know what? Who are we kidding? Where do you think you're headed?
Yeah.
Nowhere. It's a myth. It was a myth. Accomplish all this. I have highly accomplished people that I work with.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, I've written 4 books. I've done this. They're so unhappy.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
so it just is, my goodness, it's because
mhm.
I said, you can't get happy mentally.
Yeah.
Happiness is an inside kind of a messy, organic process,
Mhm.
and you're gonna have to get over yourself.
Yeah, that's a
And
big part of it. Well, and over the worry of what other people are thinking about you, because
I know
when you're in that joyful place, when like with play, when you are truly in play, one of the biggest things is that you have a diminished consciousness of self. So you're not thinking about what other
you're
people
not
are.
thinking, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And that's a big thing, because especially when we are all on screen,
Mhm.
because all people see is
Yeah.
your face, or whatever you're wearing. God knows what people are wearing, in their
Which
lives.
yes. Well, we all have our Zoom mullet. So
Yeah, no, it's like, seriously, you don't want to know, and it's personal. But and I think when screen has become everything, we've gotten into this,
Mhm.
the what looks good kind of a place, and we become overly conscious of, oh my God. And I've had that initially in pandemic, when I started to, remember the time in pandemic when everybody's hair was a mess.
Yes. We just kind of, when we just embraced it.
And I saw that video, and I'm like, oh my God, I look like hell. And I thought, should I delete it? I'm like, absolutely not.
No.
I will not. I will not delete it. You get to see my progress on the screen.
Mhm.
And so I kept it, but it is very horrifying. It's like, oh my God, somebody's going to see me. They're not going to listen to a word I said because they got so distracted by how awful I look.
Mhm.
And then I say that, then at some point you're like, detachment,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like, I don't care. I'm not in the business for my looks. I have good stuff to say, so you better listen up.
That's right. That's right.
So what else? What else can we share with our audience that may be of interest to them, for, about the work that you do?
Mhm. I think one of the biggest things that I feel a mission and a calling to really support people in is to understand that experiencing burnout in those high stress spaces, one, because it is unavoidable and it happens to all of us as part of being human, and
Hmm.
especially in the conditioning and the things that we've taught ourselves about, the hustle and being
Yeah.
busy and those kind of things, is that you don't have to feel bad when you get into that place. So I think there's still a lot of shame attached
Oh
to,
gosh. Yeah.
admitting that you are burned out, that you are really overwhelmed, that you find your work to be unmanageable, because then it's, that piece of like, well, now I have to admit that I can't do it all.
That I fell apart.
Yeah, and then I fell apart in that aspect, and the bottom line is that we all go through it at some
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
multiple times within our lives, actually, and so one of the things that I really want to help people understand, and I think to change the stigma around, is that burnout is a part of our lives,
Hmm.
and while we can't avoid it, we absolutely can function in a better way, as long as we have the right process in place. So incorporating those daily recovery moments, incorporating those pieces, and helping ourselves learn to slow down
Yeah.
is really the way to go about that. But if you are worried about seeking support or help because you don't want to admit that you're in this space, I hope that you put that aside and do what's going to be best for yourself. Because if you
Mhm.
wait, in a year, you're going to be either in the same
It's
place or
going to
worse
become
off.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't wait, and reach out and know that, you are a beautiful human and we all go through this.
Yeah. And you said something about the shame. I mean, we
Mhm.
all bought into the shame culture,
Yeah.
which is, which means inherently you're messed up and you're broken.
Mhm.
So now go fix yourself up.
Mhm.
Right? And we chased our tails and we still
Yeah.
couldn't figure out what was wrong, because the truth is, nothing is.
Right.
That's why you can't find it.
Yeah.
And so shame is a trauma.
Mhm.
There's a shape to shame, that shape that it takes within our body. And I do the somatic work, and shame has a shape.
Mhm.
And the inner contraction, and I see physical symptoms of it in my clients. And shame is a very painful thing.
It is.
So it just, let's just say that we were sold a bill of goods.
Mhm.
That's just simply not true.
Yeah.
Don't try to figure it out. It's just
Yeah.
simply not true. You're not broken. There isn't anything wrong with you. There isn't anything to fix. Look at the work we're doing. The work we're doing
Mhm.
is for not to fix you,
Absolutely
but
not.
for
Yeah.
you to find yourself. It's a process of
Mhm.
self-discovery, not self-improvement. So once we kind of know that, we can very quickly kind of return the goods.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. It served its purpose. I don't need it anymore. And don't
Yeah.
dare sell it to anybody else either, because I'm watching. I'm
Simply
watching
return
you
it.
people, right? So don't you dare do this to someone else. So
Mhm.
yeah, and we have to have that understanding. So then it becomes easier for us to, oh my God, I didn't know. It was
Mhm.
actually, you were sent into a dark alley,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there isn't anything there. So hopefully we can, we're all, recovering.
Yes. We are all recovering humans.
We're all recovering humans, and so it's wonderful that we have the opportunity, that the energy and the consciousness is shifted to a level that we're able to have such conversations with ease. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, there's no shame. When there's shame, there's guilt, and kind of what's the other word? Shame, guilt, and blame. They
Yes.
kind of join the show.
Mhm.
All of this, be done with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no guilt in seeking, there's no shame in seeking. We need assistance and
Mhm.
a witness value,
Yeah.
for someone to witness what we have gone through, for someone to witness our healing.
Mhm.
And that itself is a healing process. We don't heal in isolation.
Yeah.
And we don't become ourselves by ourselves. We can't see through the forest. That's why you need somebody on the outside who can see
Mhm.
you, because you yet may not be able to see you. And that's
Yeah.
where, the overwhelm comes. It's like, oh my God, I have all of this. Now I'm a mess. It's kind of
Mhm.
like, okay, this is not a DIY project.
Right. Definitely not.
There are risks involved. And then you'll be calling either one of us saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm a big mess. So don't do it yourself. And
Yes. Yeah,
so,
definitely. Get
help
that support.
get that support is everything. Support,
Mhm.
guidance, someone who's been there, someone who has the expertise, someone who's able to connect the dots, we're not experts at everything. We all have our areas of expertise. So you have the experts in this area who are here to help you. And
Mhm.
invest in yourself. No guilt.
Yeah.
No guilt. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, this stuff should be, I should just know it. No, actually,
Nope.
we don't know anything. We are kind of sent into this world and saying, hey, or have fun. You wanted a body? Have fun. Go have fun and go figure it out.
Yeah.
So we can tumble along and, kind of bang our head against the wall a few thousand times, but, we don't need to. So clue into how you're feeling. If that's how you not want to feel, then
Mhm.
do what you think you know, see how that works. And then if it doesn't, and if you want more deeper work, then reach out to one of the experts. There's a lot of help available in this area.
Yeah.
And so where can, Dr. Kate, where can people find you?
Yeah. So easiest place to go is my website, and that is liftwellnessconsulting.com, and it's LIFT wellnessconsulting.com.
That's wonderful. So that's liftwellnessconsulting.com. And you can also find Dr. Kate Steiner and myself in the KS Media Group app, available in both Apple and Google Play.
Yeah.
So, Kate, thank you so much. You're delightful. I love
you
your
for having
dancing on
me.
Instagram. You're so fun. Thank you for being on the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we look forward to speaking with you at our next episode. Thank you for listening to Igniting Change, Finding Your Fire. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and we look forward to being with you next week.